declare the meeting open. And that just advise that the ordinary council meeting is being live streamed and recorded in accordance with the city's live streaming and recording council meeting policy. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the city recording and live streaming their image and or voice. As Deputy Mayor is not here, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here. And before we commence proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we come together tonight on the traditional lands of the Noongar people and pay my respects to the elders past and present. And can I call upon Councillor Rouse to do the dedication again?
May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the Council Chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interests of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Leave of absence previously approved. We have Deputy Mayor apologies. Councillor Sargent is an apology. There are no public questions. Do council have a petition to present? Presentations? There are no deputations. Confirmation of the minutes held on the council meeting 28th of May 2025. Is there any additional information? Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved. Councillor Rouse, second, and Councillor Acker. Either councillors wish to speak? Speak against? Put to the vote. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Nothing on item 8, 9. Sorry, request for leave of absence. Neil? Nothing on item 10, 11, 12.1 minutes of the Bullamara Aboriginal Consultative Committee meeting held on the 9th of June. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further.
Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved. Councillor Rouse, second, and Councillor Penny. Would either councillors wish to speak? Speak against? Put to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 12.2, minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 9th of June. No additional information. Council have any questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Acker, seconded Councillor Kearney. Either councillors wish to speak? Speak against? Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. 12.3, Audit and Risk Committee Terms of Reference Review. Any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Acker, second, and Councillor Wood. Either councillors wish to speak?
I'll be supporting the updated terms of reference and the renaming of the committee to include improvement because it reflects how seriously we take governance and accountability at the City of Kwinana. Appointing an independent chair brings us in line with best practice across the sector. It ensures that our audit and risk oversight is not just thorough, but also seen to be impartial, and that builds trust within the community. Importantly, elected members still have a seat at the table. We continue to provide input on financial oversight, risk, and performance, but now with the added benefit of external expertise and broader improvement lens. These changes aren't about taking control away, they're about raising the bar on transparency, efficiency, and good governance, and that's why I'll be voting in favor.
Councillor Wood? Anyone speak against? Put to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Uh, 12.4, Integrated Planning Document, Strategic Community Plan, Major Review. Any additional information?
Nothing further.
Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that way?
I'd like to move the recommendation.
Okay. What's your alternative? Yes.
The amendment, I'd like to remove point 3 to endorse the Chief Executive Officer to make minor amendments such as grammatical spelling corrections
Sorry,
to
please
the
stand.
Strategic Community Plan and Corporate Business Plan.
Stand.
Oh, apologies, sorry.
So can you just read that again?
I'd like to remove point 3 of the recommendation to endorse the Chief Executive Officer to make minor amendments such as grammatical or spelling corrections to the Strategic Community Plan and Corporate Business Plan.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brown, do you want to speak as to why you would like that amendment?
I believe that the plans that are presented to us and endorsed by the city, by the council, are really well prepared, that they are, they go through a series of edits and reviews internally. So I don't see the point of having this criteria there. I haven't come across this previously in things that we've endorsed through council. And we do have a mechanism every fortnight if there is to be a review or a correction to a plan. We have good communication with the executive, good communication within ourselves, within our team as elected members, and I don't see a reason why those amendments, if they need to be made, can be represented to council. I understand that there's, of course, an administrative workflow. My concern is around documentation, document control, and how many changes get made and by whom, and track changing those amendments. So in terms of good governance, that's why I would endorse that that point will be removed from the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Brown?
Can I use this opportunity to ask a clarifying question?
You can.
Could the city define, outside of grammatical or spelling corrections, what else could constitute a minor amendment?
Through you, Mr. Chair. It's mainly related to just grammatical or spelling ones, because if there was any changes to timeframes, they would be brought back as part of the review process, reporting process, particularly for the corporate business plan. So we wouldn't be making sort of many minor amendments. Most of it's just if we find grammatical ones, which occasionally do pop up.
So there's no example recently that could be raised where something outside of that definition has occurred?
No, because if there was a change to KPIs or a change to, so I'm mainly talking about the corporate business plan, which is the one which we will now be working upon once the SCP is adopted. It's mainly sort of making sure that that reflects the work flow of the council.
Okay. And just a follow-up question, if I may. Could the city describe the effort it takes to bring something like this, I guess, to council when it relates to a spelling correction? Can I imagine that's the reason why it's being framed the way it is?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. That's correct. It's quite a process to be able to prepare a report and then bring it through. So it's just it'd be a few hours of work for an officer to do that. Where if it's a minor correction in terms of spelling or grammar, it's much easier just to do it. And we can certainly report that and part of our review, our reporting processes around when we bring the reports through.
And sorry, just one more question, if I may.
Sure.
Councillor Penny mentioned document control. Is there a notification mechanism to councillors and other relevant stakeholders when the documents are updated? For example, a grammatical or spelling correction, I guess, so people are aware that the document has been updated, even if it doesn't come to council.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there is a document control process. So whenever we do changes, it would be tracked, and as I said, we can certainly report that during our reporting process around corporate business plans or other reports which come through and related to the SCP, as if any of those changes have been undertaken, so you can see what's been undertaken.
Thank you.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions in relation to the amendment? Would anyone like to speak against?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Yeah, I obviously grammatical, what we've just heard from the CEO is totally acceptable in my view, that any grammatical and spelling changes are addressed without the need of many hours of an officer's work. We've just been told that we will be informed of any changes, and anything major will obviously have to come back to the council for determination anyway. So, yeah, I'm sort of against, and I'd foreshadow that if this does not is not supported, then the original foreshadow the original motion. Thank you.
Anyone speak for? Do you have a question, Councillor Penny? Anyone speak for? Councillor Penny?
In terms of, thank you for your additional information provided. I would like to, I don't know if you need to foreshadow a motion if my motion is lost. I think that the substantive stands. I'd like to propose an alternate amendment, which is to endorse the Chief Executive Officer to make minor amendments, such as grammatical or spelling corrections to the Strategic Community Plan and Corporate Business Plan, and report back to council and inform the councillors if that is to occur. So that reporting back is in that that final statement, and that could happen outside of a council meeting. But if that's in there, I'm happy.
So, you want to amend your amendment?
Yeah, I do. In light of the information that's been provided in the chamber.
Yeah, so the issue you've got is because we haven't got the substantive moved, so we can't do that. So basically she needs to lose that, and then someone moves that one, and if they were prepared to accept that amendment, you could then move that on.
Yeah. So because the substantive hadn't been moved and you moved the alternative, basically the motion would need to be lost to go to an amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
So basically, the current motion is to delete item 3. If that is lost, then there'll be an opportunity to go back to the original resolution and add report back to council.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.
So putting the amended resolution to the vote, which is deleting item 3 from the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Motion lost. So we go back to the original recommendation. Would someone like to move that?
I'd like to move an amendment to that recommendation.
Councillor Penny?
Thank you. I'd like to move an amendment that to point 3, which is endorse the Chief Executive Officer to make minor amendments such as grammatical or spelling corrections to the Strategic Community Plan and Corporate Business Plan, and report back to councillors on these changes. To be worded in a better way.
Councillor
Question?
Rouse?
Yeah,
Question?
just with the report back to council, what is Councillor Penny's definition of a report back to council? Is it just as a memo to changes, or is it an actual report that comes back to the council chambers?
I would imagine a memo would probably suffice.
That's correct. Thank you.
And just as an example, one of the spelling mistakes that was in the community plan was leader was spelt with 2 E's. So just as an example of the sorts of things that could be amended. Well, I would expect that they've, it is at the point where that is potentially not now an issue, but there you go. There is an alternative recommendation. Do I have someone to second the new alternative? Councillor Brown? Councillor Penny, you don't need to speak again?
No.
Councillor Brown, would you like to speak? Anyone like to speak against? So we're all clear. Councillor Rouse?
So if this motion with the amendment is lost, do we just revert back to the original?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So the recommendation is as it reads, but adding endorse the chief executive officers to make minor amendments such as blah blah blah, and corporate business plan, and report back to council via a memo.
Yep,
So you're
that's
actually
great.
voting on all of this,
Yeah. So we're adding that to.
yeah, but just so that they're clear,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
about to adopt the strategic community plan, which is
Yep.
a major document.
Well, maybe,
Yes. And just so we're clear, we're about to adopt the review of the strategic community plan, which is a significant document in the city. So do any councillors wish to speak on the significant effort that has been put into said plan? Councillor Penny.
I would like to. I think it's an incredible piece of work, and I really commend all the staff that have put time and energy and effort into producing these documents. In particular, the incredible effort that was made around community consultation, and it was noted by community members how deeply the city was engaging on this plan, and I'm looking forward to how we implement it and going from strength to strength in the forthcoming reviews. So thank you.
Would anyone else wish to speak in relation to the Councillor Rouse?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Penny. Obviously, the strategic community plan is our guiding document, the most important document that I think I refer to. I actually comment on the strategic community plan quite often through my social media engagements when our residents have a complaint or so about what we are trying to achieve. I always say we've got to go by our strategic community plan. So we've got this in place. It's been a massive task, and I thank all our officers involved with getting us to where we are. It's an easy to read document. A massive, not a massive improvement of our documents of the past, and I think everyone should be commended, including councillors and the executive staff for getting us to where we are. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? No? If that's the case, I will put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried, and in doing so I'll also just add some comments in relation to the document. It is a significant document that guides the city into the future. If I can just, shout out to Alicia, whose surname I can't pronounce, so I won't try, for all the efforts that she has put in as the city's officer driving the plan. And I'm also quite pleased to note that the resounding yes from the community in relation to extending the existing water park at the Adventure Park. Councillor Penny. And I look forward to it opening and standing alongside you, Councillor Penny, as we get the water dumped on us from some sort of apparatus.
As do I, Mr. Mayor.
There's nothing on item 13, 14, 15, 16. Item 17.1, Amendment 166 to Local Planning Scheme Number 2, Expansion of Development Contribution Area 8 and minor textual updates. Is there any additional information? Councillors have any difficult questions for our new director? Would someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Penny, seconded Councillor Wood. Would either councillors wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Speak against? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. You keeping up, Anna? 18.1, Delegated Authority Register 2526. Is there any additional information? Councillors have any questions? Would someone like to move the item? Councillor Penny?
I'd like to make an amendment to the recommendation. Oh, apologies. I'd like to make an amendment to the recommendation. being that point 3, note that if minor amendments limited to formatting, typographical errors and the like to the delegated authority register are required, these are to be made administratively. I would like again a memo to council on those changes. Thank you very much.
Do we have a seconder for the alternative? Councillor Acker. Councillor Penny, would you like to speak?
No, thank you. I think I've made my points regarding the other point. So, yeah, I'm happy for it to go to the vote.
Councillor Acker. Sorry? So it has been moved. You seconded it. So you can now speak.
Sorry for the confusion. I'm supporting the updated delegate authority register because it allows the city to operate more efficiently, particularly when it comes to routine procurement and contract decisions. These changes bring us in line with other councils of similar size and scale, while still keeping the key decisions like major projects, land use, and policy in the hands of council. It's not about removing oversight, it's about reducing bottlenecks and giving staff the tools to deliver services faster and more effectively. The addition of the execution of documents policy also provides clear safeguards to ensure we maintain transparency and control. Ultimately, this is a smart balance between operational flexibility and good governance, and I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? No.
Just point of order, just have that wording again for point 3 of the amendment.
Note that if minor amendments limited to formatting, typographical errors and the like to delegated authority register 2526 are required, these will be made administratively and a memo provided to council. Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.2, provision of electrical services. Is there any additional information? Council have any questions in relation to this tender? Someone like to move this way? Moved Councillor Wood, seconded Councillor Rouse. Either councillors wish to speak? Speak against? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Council policy review. Any additional information? Councillors have any questions in relation to any of these policies to be reviewed? Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Brown. Seconded Councillor Wood. Either councillors wish to speak? Councillor Wood. Anyone speak against? Put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Uh, 18.4, proposed disposition by way of lease, Suite 13. Suite 13, Darius Wells Library, etc. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Councillors have any questions? Just getting an IT lesson from the CEO as the meeting's happening. Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Acker. Seconded Councillor Kearney. Would either councillors wish to speak? Speak against? Put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.5, monthly financial reports, April 2025. Any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Councillors have any questions? Councillor Kearney?
What is the trustee for Weller Trust? A bond refund of 276,000. What is that?
That's the community.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that will be an early clearance bond return. So a developer will have asked the city to issue a subdivision clearance based on work still to be done. And when that happens, which is something that the Department of Planning allow, we take funds that will cover the cost of doing those works in the case of a default. Once they've done those works to the standard required of the subdivision, we then hand the money back.
Okay, thank you.
Someone move that way? Moved Councillor Kearney, seconded Councillor Penny. Would either councillor wish to speak? Councillor Penny?
No, thank you.
Speak against? Put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Item 18.6. Proposed management agreement, Smirks Cottage at 2 Beecham Crescent, Medina, to the Kwinana Heritage Group Incorporated. Is there any additional information? Is there any questions from council? Someone like to move the item? Moved Councillor Rouse, seconded Councillor Penny. Would either councillor wish to speak?
Just briefly, Your Worship. Yeah, I've absolutely no problem with continue the management agreement with the KHG. They are a wonderful organisation. They've put in a hell of a lot of work down at Smirks Cottage, and all who visit are amazed at the standard of landscaping and effort that goes into maintaining Smirks Cottage and the grounds. So thank you.
Councillor Penny?
Yeah, I'd like to second the comments of Councillor Rouse, and I also do believe that the Heritage Group has an open day in the coming weeks. Potentially, is it on Sunday? First Sunday. So, you know, if anybody watching at home is interested in what they do, I advise them to get on down there and check it out. Thank
6th
you.
of July.
Yep.
Anyone speak against? Put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.7. Council payment for month ended 31 May 2025. Is there any additional information? Questions? Councillors? It's very quiet without Councillor Sargent. Would someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Acker. Seconded Councillor Brown. Would either councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brown? Speak against? Put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. 18.8. Adoption of the 25-26 annual budget. Is there any additional information, Mr. CEO?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Do councillors have any questions? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've been on this journey for a bit of time now, and my question relates to just some themes that came through the feedback process to this point, particularly around kind of financial hardship. So my question is just, can the city explain operationally why we charge a 3% interest rate on instalment plan options, noting that is below the recommended maximum rate of 5.5%?
Thought we were, isn't that what we talked about?
No, that was the administrative charge. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have a comprehensive policy around hardship. Over the last few years, we've had one application for that which was granted. So if someone is experiencing financial hardship, we do encourage them to make contact with the rating staff, and we will work with the ratepayer to manage that. In terms of the interest, it's a legislative requirement. So if a person is experiencing hardship, we don't charge the interest on that, but these are for late payments in that, and so the administrative charges, and so there is a cost when people aren't paying on time. And we have kept our interest charge well below the X rate.
And just in, I guess, general terms, why is there interest charge here?
Yeah, it's because of the lost time of the funds. So the funds haven't come in on time, and we've lost the ability. So we're not receiving the revenue from that. We're not being able to invest, be able to use it for projects. So we're incurring costs.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Would someone like to move the annual budget? Councillor Acker, seconded. Councillor Penny? Councillor Acker, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to start by saying that I understand that any rate increase is difficult, very difficult right now. People are feeling the pressure of rising costs everywhere, and this is not a decision that I take lightly. I don't think it's a decision any of us take lightly. But I support the 4.5% increase because I believe it's the right thing to do, not just for this year, but for Kwinana's long-term future. Yes, it's higher than some of our neighbors like Rockingham and Coburn, but it's right on the Perth Metro average. And unlike Rockingham and Coburn, Kwinana doesn't have the luxury of large reserves to fall back on. Our asset base is growing, our infrastructure needs are increasing, and our cost pressures are real. If we don't act now, we'll either fall behind on renewing critical infrastructure or we'll face much sharper rate rises in the future years to catch up, and that's not fair on the community. This increase helps fund projects our residents have told us they want: better safety measures, shaded streetscapes, upgraded parks, and long overdue improvements to places like the Aquatic Center. It also ensures we stay above the 80% asset sustainability ratio, a key benchmark for councils, so we can keep roads safe, playgrounds open, and buildings functional. And more importantly, hardships are in place for anyone genuinely struggling. I believe this is a balanced, responsible decision that delivers on our commitments and protects Kwinana's future, and that's why I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Acker. Councillor Penny?
Thank you. I'd just like to, second and back Councillor Acker's comments there. This is a decision that was not made lightly by the elected members, and it secures a future for Kwinana where we can afford to maintain infrastructure and deliver what the community expects of us.
Anyone want to speak against? No? Put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. In doing so, the adoption of the annual budget means that the city is now moving forward with some fairly significant projects which the community will see into the future. Works are underway for the Wellard West Community Facility on the edge of Wellard Primary School. The administration building is long overdue for renewal. The ageing HVAC system and fire systems are at life, and the facilities that our staff are having to experience are far from ideal. So that's another project that will benefit from the passing of this budget. Stage 1 of the Kwinana Loop Trail, a fairly significant project, which we receive funds through state government, but there's also other funds that are required to put into that project, which will provide significant opportunities for recreation for not only Kwinana residents, but it will give opportunities to create a destination for people to come in and do mountain biking. The Thomas Oval Change Room extension has also started, and that's also will be funded through this budget. It's a significant addition to Thomas Oval, allowing extra facilities for the NRL State Development Squad, as well as the, I think it's the over 55s archery. So that's in that budget. Kwinana Aquatic upgrade, as Councillor Acker alluded to, and as we have spoken to before, the city received some 15 million from the federal government last year. And this project is a $37 million redevelopment of the aquatic, which will start in this next financial year. This is the largest single significant investment in community infrastructure in the history of Kwinana. $37 million is a lot of money. I do acknowledge that, but we have ageing facilities and we need to improve those facilities for our residents. And lastly, one of the other projects I will highlight is also as a result of a grant partially from the federal government, but the opportunity to do some precinct work in the city centre to make that area between the city and I guess the marketplace more user-friendly for pedestrians. So in doing so, things are moving very fast in Kwinana, and there's some really great projects coming up this year. Where are we at? Long-term financial plan, 18.9. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Maybe actually, CEO, if you could just advise why we've reviewed the long-term financial plan after not only just recently doing the long-term financial plan for those playing at home.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the councillors, the main reason for having to review the long-term financial plan was there's been some changes in the economic landscape. CPI has changed, so the local government cost index has changed from based upon what was previously forecast within the plan. But the main part too is we've had some significant funding come in through the Thriving Suburbs, so the $15 million for the aquatic, the $2 million for the city centre precinct, plus the funding that we've received for the Loop Trail and other successful funding grants that we've got. So that's all resulted in changes to our projects. Of course, the other thing too is we're currently in industrial negotiations, and so we've had to make some assumptions around how that's going as well. So these have all been forecast into the long-term financial plan, and then we've had to revise our future forecast based on that. So this is a good thing to do, to constantly be updating the plan as these things change.
Councillor, have any questions? Someone like to move the long-term financial plan? Moved, Councillor Penny, seconded Councillor Acker. Would either of the councillors wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Councillor Acker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The long-term financial plan is one of the most important documents we adopt, and I support this version because it gives us a clear, responsible path forward. It supports the community's priorities from the strategic plan, upgrades to parks, facilities, the aquatic, key road and path networks, while keeping debt and rate increases manageable. Critically, it keeps us above the 80% asset sustainability ratio, which is the absolute minimum benchmark. Dropping below that would mean we're not maintaining our assets properly, and that's not acceptable. This plan helps us avoid short-term thinking and builds confidence in our ability to co-fund major projects with other levels of government. It's not just a financial document, it's a commitment to future generations, and that's why I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak against? Put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Where are we at? There's nothing on item 19, 20. Is there any late or urgent business? Reports of elected members. Councillor Acker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've attended the Audit and Risk Committee meeting, the citizenship ceremony, and completed all the other duties required of me. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. So since our last ordinary council meeting on Sunday, the 8th of June, I participated in a community planting day at Homestead Ridge as part of the City of Kwinana's Living Green series throughout the month of June. On Monday, the 16th of June, I attended the Business Support Grant Assessment Panel alongside Councillor Sargent and Councillor Rouse. On Tuesday, the 17th of June, I joined fellow councillors at the citizenship ceremony held at Medina Hall. And then last night, on Tuesday, the 24th of June, I attended the Lyric Awards night, one of my favourite nights of the year, I have to say. I think you can't help but walk away from that evening feeling incredibly proud about what our young people are up to in the city of Kwinana. And I think, yeah, this feeling that we're really onto something special with that initiative, the Lyric Initiative, the awards, the scholarships, and just the broader program of works with youth in Kwinana. So I want to say huge congratulations to our award nominees and winners and scholarship recipients, and a particular shout out to our Cara Adams Young Person of the Year, Takunda Bray. And it was also a real privilege to present the Leadership Award at the awards night last night. And last but not least, I'd like to say a huge thank you to city staff, volunteers, and the Kwinana Youth Advisory Council for really making last night happen and making it the success it was. So thank you. Great stuff.
Councillor Kearney.
Right, since our last meeting, I've attended the senior sits meeting. I went to a conflict resolution with the seniors held at the senior sits. Also attended the citizenship, and last night the Lyric Award, which was amazing to see what great children we've got in this community, and thank everybody that was involved in the setup. And next year, Fiona Greaves is going to tell her story.
We look forward to Miss Greaves' story. Councillor Penny.
Thank you. On the 9th of June, I attended the Bullamara Consultative Committee and Public Art Review Panel, as well as attending the Jandakot Regional Park Community Advisory meeting on the 18th of June, and the Gilmore College School Board meeting on Thursday the 19th of June. I've also supported my fellow councillor here, Councillor Rouse, on some of the JDAP meetings while my other colleagues were on leave, so thank you.
Councillor Rouse.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. On the 4th of June, I as Councillor Penny mentioned, attended the JDAP, the DAP meeting, where a childcare centre across the road from the Willard train station on Charing Cross was approved by the Development Assessment Panel, a one-storey childcare centre. I probably shouldn't say too much more. On the 9th of June, I attended the Bullamara, and in the absence of Deputy Mayor Chair, Paul sat in the chair and did another wonderful job again. On the 10th of June, I chaired the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting, and I'm happy to report that there was no major incidences throughout the district to report from any of the agencies. On the 18th of June, I attended another DAP meeting alongside Councillor Penny. Well, I wasn't alongside, we were online, where the proposed sand mine extraction in Casuarina, hard-fought meeting on our behalf, and the other DAP members came into that meeting wanting to approve the application to our sand mine. But our environmental officer, Christine, did a wonderful effort to come out with the science and to explain the importance of the recently discovered tumulus mound springs to the environment, which was located in the conservation category wetlands just nearby where they were going to extract the sand. And along with her evidence and what Councillor Penny and I gave on a local level, the other DAP members also voted in favour not to continue with the sand extraction, which is a big win, I think, for the environment. Yes, Lyric Awards last night. Congratulations to Kunda and all the other nominees and recipients of those awards. As Councillor Brown said, it's our future of Kwinana is in safe hands. Well, actually, I don't think you said that, but yeah, I'll paraphrase what you said. So yes, congratulations and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. Councillor Wood.
I've performed all those duties required of me. Thank you, Your Worship.
There's nothing on item 23. Mayoral announcements. I have done many of the things that everyone has done since the last council meeting. seeing if there's anything significant. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. There was an event held at the Senior Citizens to acknowledge World Elder Abuse Awareness. Always need to add the awareness on the end. A group from a legal service came and spoke to the seniors about scams and all sorts of things like that. It was a good session. And also to commemorate World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, the colour is actually purple, and the city actually lit up the tree out the front of the council. If people are aware that there's actually coloured lights under that tree, so lit up the tree purple to, I guess, signify the city's commitment to World Elder Abuse Awareness. And I believe we will be, and that tree was only recently fixed. That's why some councils may not have seen it before. And the CEO has tasked marketing to actually put together a calendar of events that the tree will be lit up for various other events that require public buildings to be lit up in different colours. And I probably the other thing that I'll mention is also I'll just add comment in relation to the Lyric Awards. Congratulations to Takunda for being named Young Person of the Year, and again I think there's a significant number of young people doing great things here in Kwinana. There is no confidential items. I'll declare the meeting closed at 6:46. Thank you for attending.